We're now at the point where we threw everything at the debt super cycle, and the outcomes are only creating upside tail risks now. There is no downside because it's the system of money itself and value. So it's not just even money, it's the whole system of exchange of value, store of value, trusted value, ownership, everything. I think that the digital world of virtual reality, gaming, and the ability to live in these metaverses and generate income and socialize and go to events and all of these things that is happening right now is basically like discovering the Americas. We're going to increase global GDP gigantically because we've discovered a new world that is not constrained by the existing constraints of, how much copper can you get out of the ground? How much concrete can you get? This is very interesting.
So you're super bullish, actually.
Yes, bizarrely, right? This is bizarre.
No, it is, but that's what I love about you, that you always change your view and that you're open-minded and flexible and not narrow-minded or just dogmatic. So it's interesting point. It's definitely a good point. So.
And that doesn't mean the transition is smooth.
No.
That doesn't mean we won't have problems. It doesn't mean that the working classes don't get screwed for another 5 or 10 years. This is not a utopian world, but what we are walking into is a very different world than we've come out of. So what we thought of were abnormal, which was the Facebook, Google, the FANG, is going to be the new normal. And that's interesting because we can generate wealth. And I didn't think we could in a debt-laden world, but as long as these things outperform the debasement of currency, which they are, only technology, only the NASDAQ, outside of crypto, only the NASDAQ has outperformed the Fed balance sheet since 2008 lows, meaningfully. And that makes sense to me.
Yeah, you tweeted and you said you're irresponsibly long on Bitcoin. So I guess this is your main investment in the cryptocurrencies, or is it like 80% Bitcoin and the rest is Ethereum or something else?
Yeah, it moves around a bit, but I'm probably 60% Bitcoin, 30% Ethereum.
Okay.
And 10%, a bunch of others, 10 others. Can't see an environment where it peaks early. I think the risk is actually skewed to the upside. Mm-hmm. So if I say what's underpriced, I think what's underpriced is 400,000 to 1 million is underpriced. Cheers. I think if you see Plan B recently put out a Twitter poll, I think most people are somewhere between 150 and 250. So usually the crowd is wrong. Mm. Knowing what we know about institutional adoption and this whole digital world that's developing, it puts the probability that the upside is larger than people think. And it's unlikely to be the downside where the most risk lies. Maybe the next cycle, that it would maybe disappoint to the downside, while the further out the alts and will do much better. That's how I'm kind of thinking of it. So I kind of think the 400 to 1 million range is underpriced in this.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I think. What's your exit strategy? Do you plan to, for example, if it reaches $1.2 million, do you plan to sell 25% of your Bitcoins or of your crypto assets?
Because look, I always say this is, we can have our crypto chips and we can have our lifestyle chips. It depends where you are in the life cycle and what you want from your lifestyle. So, whether you want to buy a new car or buy a new house or do whatever it is, right? Yeah. You need some money in the fiat world to be able to afford the standard of living that you have. Then it becomes difficult to think about because we saw CZ from Binance going through this, and a few friends of mine have gone through this. They sell a chunk and then they think, where do I put that money?
Yeah, exactly. You've got
it's not about the fear of, it's not really the fear about the banking system. It's like, you know what, if I just put it in USDC, I'm getting 6% yield. Why would I even bother putting it back in? So I've thought about that. And then I've thought about, would I just give it to some people to manage? Because the down cycle is more complicated. So trend following systems-based funds in crypto, I think will do quite well.
Yeah.
But there's also this token NFT revolution going on that requires a lot of deep dive work. I'd love to give some people money to manage that part that I'm just never going to be able to know all the details of. So it's kind of somewhere between some lifestyle tokens, maybe just keeping it outside of the normal world because it kind of starts to make sense more than it ever did. And then also figuring out, okay, what's the best investment for the change in the cycle? And then, yes, then there's those other bets that we talked about that can be more equity market bets. But, again, we need to judge them against, are they going to outperform the value of holding the currency? So you've got to beat the 6% hurdle for a start, which is what you get on USDC, but, will it outperform to the upside versus Bitcoin? So I think it will over time, but now's not the time. Now's the time to take that super concentrated risk that most of us have got, which is like, this is a once in a lifetime. Well, one of the few times in a lifetime opportunity.
It is. It's the biggest chance of all time. That's what my book is called. And I think if you, act right now and wise and invest into the right assets, you will be the big winner in this transformation. So do you expect a Bitcoin standard actually? So like Safedin says, like we will one day have a Bitcoin standard?
The answer is I don't know, and it doesn't matter because it's a long time between here and there.
Yeah.
I think that the chances of it being used as the premier or pristine collateral for the financial system, I would say is reasonably high odds over time. Will it be used as the reserve for the overall system? Possible, not clear. Will it be used as money for everybody? There's a much lower probability because gold never got used as money. There's theories that certain of these kind of laws apply, where Gresham's law, where suddenly all money goes to the hardest money. Well, it's never worked in the past. It's not going to work in the future because governments and other people with different incentives change the incentives for everybody else. It's a fantastic store of value. It could be a money. Yeah. It could be a form of money. All of those have a probability, but I don't ascribe such high probability as people who are more maximalistic in their approach would do. And I understand their point of view, but I don't think we even need to play that now. I tweeted out today a chart of Ethereum versus Bitcoin since inception.
Yeah.
And there's an argument that all tokens versus Bitcoin go to zero. Well, Ethereum's outperformed since its inception by 250%.
Yeah.
So we don't know, and we can't know.